So, welcome to this week's Friday Study Circle. And before we begin, let's just take a few moments to ingather ourselves. We don't even realize where all we are, where all our thoughts and feelings are. Although we may appear to be at one place, so just for a few breaths, we'll be focusing on the in and the out breath fully so that we can touch the present moment in both body and mind. Invoking Mother's presence and praying that we are able to see more than what we usually see through the magic, the beauty of the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and may we be able to incorporate, put those things in our everyday life. Thank you. So as we know, we are going through passages of the Sunlit path these days. So I will share this Sunlit path. We are doing the chapter which basically covers surrender. So last time we had done ascetic method. I'm just seeing whether we did it fully. Yeah, so we did do it, but if I'm not wrong, both Sujata ji and Captain, you were not there last time, were you? Yeah, and Captain, did you attend last time? I have a feeling you didn't.
No, I was not there.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so it was beautiful. So how about we just read it again? If there's any
Yes.
comment from you, we'll take it, then we'll move ahead. So, Captain, if you're already unmuted, if you won't mind reading it for us.
Yes. Ascetic methods. Mother, for self-mastery, are not the ascetic methods useful sometimes? No, you are nothing. You cure nothing. You only give yourself the illusion that you have progressed. But you cure nothing. The proof is that if you stop your ascetic methods, the thing is even stronger than before. It comes back with a vengeance. It depends upon what you call ascetic methods. If it is not to indulge in satisfying all your desires, this indeed is not asceticism. It is common sense. It is something else. Ascetic methods are things like repeated fasting, compelling yourself to endure the cold, in fact, to torture your body a little. This indeed gives you only a spiritual pride, nothing more. It masters nothing at all. It is infinitely easier. People do it because it is very easy, it is simple. Just because the pride is quite satisfied and the vanity can get puffed up, it becomes very easy. One makes a great demonstration of the ascetic virtues and so considers himself an extremely important personage, and that helps him to endure many things. It is much more difficult to master one's impulses quietly, composedly, and to prevent them from showing themselves much more without taking ascetic measures. It is much more difficult not to be attached to the things you possess than to possess nothing. This is something that has been known for centuries. It requires a much greater quality not to be attached to the things one possesses than to be without any possessions or to reduce one's possessions to a strict minimum. It is much more difficult. It is much higher degree of moral worth. Simply this attitude. When a thing comes to you, to take it, use it. When for one reason or another it goes away, to let it go and not regret it, not to refuse it when it comes, to know how to adapt yourself and not to regret it when it goes.
Yes. Thank you, Captain. Waiting for your reflections. So the passage was about ascetic methods. What we had focused on last time, among other things, what we had liked was firstly, ascetic is not the simple things, the simple disciplines that we put in our lives. That, this we really had liked, that if it is not to indulge in satisfying all your desires, this indeed is not asceticism, it is common sense, right? But a lot of times we could also take pride in that discipline, right? Like, oh, see, I am so good at disciplining myself. So maybe that too can take us somewhere else. But in general, Mother is talking about extreme methods here, that when we are torturing the body, so according to her, that is not helpful at all and doesn't cure anything. And just our vanity, she says, gets puffed up, right? That I am, that saint who can stand on one leg for 40 hours, for example. Because, I become something. So it feels that the journey is to lose yourself, right? To see that you are so much more, like you're nothing and you're everything. But when we take these identities, when we take these initiatives, and then it's like, I am the one doing it. So I guess that takes us to places where it's not good for our progress. So he's saying it's not good. And this thing again we know, and yet repeatedly we need to remember that it is much more difficult to master one's impulses quietly, composedly, and to prevent them from showing themselves without taking ascetic measure. Because that's just a simple, say, rejection, right? But to have that thing dancing in front of you, know how the visual of, say, the saints is coming to me, that, how there's this sadhu, I don't know, Vishwamitra or somebody, and he's sitting on a samadhi. So if a Menka is not dancing in front of you, it's easier to just continue with the samadhi, right? But when the dances are happening, and it's like, okay, take it, take it, take it, you have, and still not wanting anything to do with it, is the true mastery. That now the seed of that desire, or the seed of desire, is not there in one's being. So that is when I can say I've mastered that, or I don't know, let it go. So it is much more difficult not to attach to the things you possess than to possess nothing. This is something that you have been known, this is something that has been known for centuries. And then lastly, what we had discussed for this last thing, right? Simply this attitude, like it sounds so simple, and yet this is difficult, right? It's difficult for us to do it on a daily basis. That when a thing comes to you, to take it, use it. When for one reason or another it goes away, to let it go and not regret it, not to refuse it when it comes, to know how to adapt yourself and not to regret it when it goes. Like it sounds so simple. Yeah, absolutely. Why would that be a problem? And we know how this is a problem. And when I see in myself, this feeling of entitlement is what stops me. What kind of makes it difficult, that whatever I have, somewhere I stupidly believe that, oh, that is mine. This is the bare minimum. And I think that is why, especially when we get any physical diseases or anything, right, chronic, which is like not going away easy, the ego really kind of gets restless, right? It just wants to cry and wants to make a big drama. But this belonged to me. When we lose someone, the lack of control, that, but how can that happen? How can that happen? Because I make myself much bigger. Just a small example, like I had shifted from India to Canada a few months back. And in India I had, like, I had a lot of cars, like, my dad's, my sister, like we kind of had a bit of excess cars, like more than we needed, one or two. And I have always had, those basic things which I thought were basic, without even asking for it. So here, there's a major car shortage going on, and it's just going crazy. So for months and months, it was like that, not getting anything, not getting anything. And I could see a restlessness, like इतना तो होना ही चाहिए, इतना तो होना ही चाहिए, ये हो क्या रहा है, कहाँ आ गए? And one day I was like, कि क्यों होना चाहिए? Like just because I have had something, say, for 40 years, how can I say that this has to be there? What is this has to? So I just looked at it that, oh, this is my sense of, kind of entitlement. I'm considering this as a bare minimum to a basic lifestyle. And the moment I saw what I was doing, it was released. Like, it was just like, okay, everything is fine. The bus services here are great. We all know about Uber, how it helps. And honestly, a car costs a lot. So in Uber, you might feel you're spending so much, but the amount you pay for maintenance and everything, you would still end up paying less because you do have limited places to go. So apart from this thought that how can I be without a car? There was nothing else that was poking me or troubling me. So it helped me to look at so many other things which I was taking at, oh, this is the given, right? How is it possible that one can sustain? We have a child, right? Like the child needs to have access to a car. That's no life. It sounds stupid now when I'm repeating myself, but those were the thoughts that I was believing. And that's it. Like, it's just so good to be able to see and release the things which are not needed. And they just, kind of make you dance on their tune. So I think this is so beautiful that when a thing comes to you, to take it, use it. When for one reason or another it goes away, to let it go and not regret it, not to refuse it when it comes. I think this is an important thing in this passage, because a lot of times, in the name of asceticism, we do refuse some things which look very flashy. I mean, of course, if there's no interest, one can. But here, Mother says not to refuse when things comes, to know how to adapt yourself and not to regret it when it goes. This is only possible when we are experiencing, but we are not becoming, the doer, and, like we are not becoming this thing that, okay, now I am the one who owns this. I am the one who's used to this. I think if it's not there, probably it would come very naturally. But it's tough not to go to the I thing again and again and again. Like there's something in me which wants to claim, process, just grasp and say, yes, mine, mine. So yes, please, this was last week. So any reflections, comments? So we can start with the next passage. The passage is outer discipline. So if anybody is willing, they can unmute. Otherwise, I read. Yeah, thank you,
Can
Sujata. Please.
outer discipline. But doesn't some outer discipline help? If you impose a discipline upon yourself, and if it isn't too stupid, it may help you. A discipline, I tell you, disciplines, tapasyas, all ascetic disciplines are, as ordinarily practiced, the best means of making you proud, of building up in you such a terrific pride that never, never will you be converted. It will have to be broken down with hammer strokes. The first condition is a healthy humility, which makes you realize that unless you are sustained, nourished, helped, enlightened, guided by the divine, you are nothing at all. There now, when you have felt that, not only understood it with your mind, but felt it down into your very body, then you will begin to be wise, but not before.
Yeah, so this is it. So that the next passage starts after this. So outer discipline. So here, of course, the question is, doesn't outer discipline help? So anything from anyone?
So the basic thing which they are, I think, emphasizing over here is to be just like a normal human being and not try to do things which you want to do to probably impress others. Like in the previous paragraph, they said fasting and being hard on yourself for various things and things like that. So basically, it's very well written. The first condition is a healthy humility, which makes us realize that unless we are sustained, nourished, helped, enlightened, and guided by the divine, we are nothing at all. It makes so much sense, really.
Yes, thank you. So here it says that if you impose a discipline upon yourself, and if it isn't too stupid, it may help you. These comments are also a bit, taking us towards humility, because it is a fact that a lot of things that we impose, we think it is taking me there, or this is for my good, and it could actually just be the opposite. So she says that disciplines, tapasya, all ascetic disciplines are, as ordinarily practiced, the best means of making you proud, of building up in you such a terrific pride that never, never will you be converted. It will have to be broken down with hammer's stroke. I think that is why Sri Aurobindo, one of his most popular lines is, that pain is the hammer of God, right? Which is there to break the dead resistance of the mortal soul, immortal soul. And unless then I get really good bashings, I would not let go of this thing that it is I, who is controlling. That I am controlling my life, I'm deciding, I'm making decisions. So it's saying that the more we kind of do the outer dances of, I can do this, I can do that, the further hard the shell becomes. And then, small wake up calls would not do the trick. It will have to be hammer stroke. And when we get that hammer stroke, we lash out, we cry that, oh, God is so cruel. And yet we don't leave him or her with any option, right? That progress I have to, how mother says again and again and again that thy victory is certain. But how will that victory come? If I myself am, sitting on my achievements, my disciplines and saying, I am that, if I say no to this, जमीन इधर की उधर हिल जाए मैं I will not consume that, not go do this, not go there. And I feel that's a good thing. That's the worst part, I think, and that's why the word stupid here I really resonate with. That one thing is you're doing something that's not required and you realize that okay, I'm going here and I don't need to. But most of the things that I'm doing is like I'm doing it like that, of course. So the first condition, like Sujata ji pointed out, how it's so beautiful that it's a healthy humility, which makes you realize that unless you are sustained, nourished, held, enlightened, guided by the divine, you are nothing at all. I think even this word, healthy, there was, in Buddhism, there's this opening aspiration that a lot of time when you attend any Buddhist session, they make you do. And it says that with boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. So I had wondered sometimes initially, especially, that why wisdom? Like, why is boundless compassion not enough, right? You're talking about helping people. And yet, there is something about wisdom that really tells you what is right, what is wrong, right? Where is somebody taking advantage and going further down the drain, and when is somebody wanting to stand up? So again, when I saw this word healthy humility, that one thing is that I'm good for nothing, right? I remember, and I might have shared that before, but there's a story in the Upanishads, like where I think Surdas, it was Surdas who would be singing, right? Who was popular for his poems he would write, the songs he would sing. So once a very big saint came specially to meet Surdas that I've heard so much about you, sing something for me. And he started, and his song was, about Deenta, that, I am nothing. I am, the low of the low of the low kind of a thing. So he didn't like it. He said, okay, sing another song. The second song was also about Deenta. He said, okay, change the song. The third song was also about Deenta. So then he kind of got angry and he kind of shook him. That, you are the one in which the gods reside. You have to give yourself some, that you are the vessel of the god. You cannot just be totally lowly. It doesn't work that way. You have to rise up. And then, something in him shifted and he became a much more, I don't know, prasid, popular, resonating poet, it says after that. Because humility, can again be, totally lack of self-worth, that I'm good for nothing, right? That too is not the right way. And I don't know what the right way is, but at least when we know what is not the right way, that too is a big step. So the first condition is a healthy humility, which makes you realize that unless you are sustained, nourished, held, enlightened, guided by the divine, you are nothing at all. You know, one thing happens to us, especially talking about at the body level for right now, a toothache, a cough, some fever, a back issue. You know, we realize that, oh my God, there's so much in the body which is ready to go bad, right? And once we are suffering, while we are suffering, we do see this more, right? That, oh my God, I had so much. And once I get healed, I'll again have so much. It's so much that I am given. But you have to feel it. It's not just a mind thing, Mother says. You have to feel that in the, core of your body, in the cells of your body, that just left to me, I won't be able to do much. And every time we try to rise above our old patterns, old tendencies, issues, history, storylines, we see that if only I was to do it, it would not be possible for me. And that is why we call on to grace, to help, we offer. So everything, calling to grace, offering, surrendering is because I now know that this is good for me, and yet there is something in me, some jadta in me, some stickiness in me, which would not let things go. And when we have realized that, then the healthy humility comes that I must aspire, I know, but without the hand from above, I would not be able to do much. Yes, so inviting reflections.
This sentence, when you have felt that, not only understood it with your mind, but felt it down to your very body, then you will begin to be wise, but not before. So, can we reflect on this sentence, please?
Yes, absolutely. Anybody would want to reflect on it before I start yapping again? Yeah, so that I will go. So, according to me, what it means is, one thing is mental understanding, right? That I understand that this is how it works. If we talk about even say the divine, right? We understand that logically there should be somebody who's taking care, who has given us birth, who's managing the universe, the cosmos, and yet we have had experiences in our lives in which we have felt that there are things bigger than me, right? We have felt that, okay, there's a hand that holds me when I'm about to fall down. So I think this is exactly what it's saying, that unless I have truly felt that there is something which is bigger than me and which is taking care, and I am not left to myself, I can't do much. So I'll just, give you a personal example when for me it hit like, it was a hammer stroke. I was sharing it with Nandini the other day. So I was struck by lightning a few years back. And when I was, it stuck me. It came to my feet. So I was walking and it hit me on my feet and I was pushed down. So I was basically flying in the air for some time before I landed on the ground. So while I was being pushed back, with a lot of force, like more force than I have ever experienced, something in me started laughing that, oh, this is how it ends. And this is how, and I felt that I control my life, right? So this kind of a funny slap on the face, it felt like that, कि अब देखो रोको इसको है मतलब कुछ कर सकते हो, and the answer was नहीं. So this absolute, the strength of the moment which shows you that you are nothing really if not for the grace. And how mother says कि when we talk about miracles, right, that we say something happens and we say, oh, it was a miracle, oh, that person got saved, the plane was about to crash and yet it landed on the water, everybody was saved and stuff, and then we say that, okay, a miracle happened. But every day the 10 billion things which are going right, which could have gone wrong, we don't see the miracles that happen every day. Somebody say got cured of cancer, we will say it was a miracle. But the whole life, the 50, 60 years, they didn't have cancer. The every day we never said, oh, I'm so blessed to have a healthy day. That I take for granted. The enlightenment that I was talking about in the beginning, that what I have, I sit on it and I say, अरे ये तो forgiven है मेरा, है ना, मतलब ये तो मेरा है. Especially we see it in children, right? Teenage children, we see that a lot. That what is there, it's like कि it's them. मैं मेरा में कोई वो नहीं है, but अगर कुछ लेने की कोशिश करो तो there is this, there's a snake who's ready to bite you. कि how dare you? So yeah, that's all I guess I had to say. कि like once you have experienced this, that मेरे हाथ में कुछ है नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि हाँ मैंने पकड़ा हुआ है, but truly not just a mental concept, not just a word in a book, a line in the book, but once when we have experienced it, then mother says that the dimension shifts, right? It's not just a word, it's a happening that you have experienced. And another thing that a lot of masters mystics, including mother, she says that one must keep going to these experiences, going back to them to remind ourselves, that because, somehow the illusionary nature of the world makes us think that, oh, that probably didn't even happen. Maybe it was a dream. Why do you want to believe in it? This is real life. See, that person is driving, say, a BMW. See, that person is living in a castle. This is real. Run, run, run. But if I am connecting with my happenings, with my experiences, and she says there is no one who has not been given experiences, no one. So if we have to keep going back and, refuel, remember, remind ourselves that life is more than this, to see that there are things which are controlled by bigger forces, and that makes us more humble, more grounded. And then, it's like we become a better receptacle, right? When the I-ness, when I'm not full, then grace can flow in me. Yeah, I don't know if I have answered your question. But...
Also, I feel here, like what came to me was that since we were talking about asceticism in the previous section, and so if we see then asceticism, people who take asceticism, or even not asceticism, even if we really go with strict routine, like girls, especially my age and all, like I've seen a lot of the strict diet they go on, that intermittent fasting I'm gonna do for this hour, eating only for 6 hours and all of that, to lose weight and to look good, and it detoxifies, or some strict routines they will do. And what I feel that all of this is more thinking mind that makes you do it, because the body will always hint that this is not right. Like the body will say that this is not okay. It will give you signs that this is not okay. Like like eat healthy food, eat balance, live a balanced life, live an integral life. Don't just only focus on your thinking mind. So when I was reading it, I thought mother is saying that once you don't realize this, once you realize it from your body too, like not only from your thinking mind, this idea of having a routine which is not so strict, a normal routine, and a routine which is good for your mind, body, and spirit, the three, the integral, the vital, body, and the mind. Then you will really understand it. So kind of leaving our intelligence that comes from our mind to the body. Body also has an intelligence as well. Our feelings also have an intelligence. So kind of connecting it with all of that, with a lot of humility, and what Taru was saying, invoking the grace and asking it that it is good that you will get to know what is right for you. Because I do feel that sometimes like not strict routines, but like kind of certain routines are good for some people, whereas for some other people it not might work. So for every other person it differs quite drastically. And even mother and Aurobindo ashram, they used to have, like, for every other sadhak they had different kind of an answer for for the same situation. They will completely revert differently about this. If somebody would ask mother, should I go for an operation for this, mother would first say, as you please. I don't know who was it I was reading, and mother say, as you say. And he can answer, mother, please tell me. And his mother again said, as you want. Yes, but I want you to tell me. And mother said, then only the divine can heal you. And it was a really severe thing that the two doctors said, that it need, I think, some stomach operation. And mother said, just rely on the divine. Whereas I think Pranabda or somebody else, similar situation, some kind of a problem, mother said, oh, this is the doctor, you actually go to Chennai and get it treated. So I mean, like, in that sense, that like integrally invoking the divine, not only just by thinking, because the mind will always tell you, like, ego store, I think, is in the mind. It operates through the mind a lot. So just kind of shifting our attention from the mind to the body, to the vital as well, to the feelings, sometimes helps, I think.
Yeah, Badalji, anything from you? You're very silent today. Unless you don't have the capacity to speak. I don't know.
There are two things I was, when this was been explained, that when you have felt that, not only understood it with your mind, but felt it down to your very body, then you will begin to be wise, but not before. So I was in Puducherry, it's about 4 or 5 years back, and I was there with a team. There are 2, 3 other families, and so there are so many places which we have not visited earlier. There are 3, 4 times I have visited. So this in the evening, because we stayed there for 3 days, 3 nights. So then he took us to a place where we saw that elderly ladies and gentlemen, they are doing parade, like military parade drill. So then I asked him, because the person is about 40, 50 years, he is associated with ashram. So I asked him that why this drill parade actually. So he said, see, the mind is working, so we are thinking, so you can sit down or stand and walk and now thinking, that is okay. But here, the thing are to be transferred to the body, every body cells are to be active. So if I'm doing something, the body and mind has to be getting connected with that. So the physical movement is for that. So I was remembering that actually the drill square, because I'm from basically defense background. And this other thing was coming to my mind is those days in 70s, in the officers academy where military training has been conducted. So there in the ragging used to be there. So there in the midnight when you were sound sleep after a day's work, hard work, then you are called and fall in and do something and all that. There is some questions if they are asked, by the officer who has called for this. Then they used to say that this. If you answer something, then they will say that you are full, bloody full, and you don't know this. So you are big zero. Such words are being used actually. So we used to feel, because we are already graduate, those all are postgraduate, but we have said that you are zero. You don't know anything. So the later on, it was not been explained at the time. Later on, I understood that unless you create vacancy in you, so you cannot accept anything. So normally, that ego thing in our body or mind, they say that I know everything. Don't tell me. Something like that prevents me. So where if mm, you have got the capacity to listen to something or accept something, that means you have to create a vacancy within yourself, in your body or mind or somewhere. So then you will be concentrating on what the person and why the person is talking like this. So there, that humiliation has to be there. Humility has to be there. Humility, and the same time, we have to create a vacancy. I have to have the power to accept the things, and to understand through my mind and through body, the probably whether it is true or whether acceptable or whether it is teaching me something or learning. I am learning something from this, because life is an experience, like entire life. There is no end to learning. So probably I have to learn throughout my life, as long as I understand the thing. So that way I was trying to connect actually, that when we are that Guru's thought in the morning when we are doing. So Guru Dev Daya Kar Deena Jane. So that Dinata, so every two lines, this sentence is repeated. Guru Dev Daya Kar Deena Jane. Deena means I don't know anything, because I am guided. I am just an instrument. What Ramakrishna Paramahansa says, I am just an instrument. This that there's divine. So he is divine is playing. Divine is playing through me. I am just the instrument. So that humility allows us. If I create a vacancy, then probably in the mind or body at all, then probably I should be in a position to learn or expose to something which may be helpful to me. Thank you.
Yes. So I think we can move on. We have 15 more minutes and it's a small passage. So if anybody is willing, they can read. Otherwise, I'll read it. True humility. Perfect after they mentioned humility. So here it is, true humility.
Shall I read, Taru?
Yeah, yes, please.
True humility. What is the right and the wrong way of being humble? It is very simple. When people are told, be humble, they think immediately of being humble before other men, and that humility is wrong. True humility is humility before the divine. That is, a precise, exact, living sense that one is nothing, one can do nothing, understand nothing without the divine, that even if one is exceptionally intelligent and capable, this is nothing in comparison with the divine consciousness, and this sense one must always keep, because then one always has the true attitude of receptivity, a humble receptivity that does not put personal pretensions in opposition to the divine.
Yeah, thank you, Sajjan. The true humility, the right and the wrong way of being humble. In the passage, Mother is saying that when one is told to be humble, they think it is to be humble before other men, and that is wrong. True humility is humility before the divine. That is a precise, exact, living sense that one is nothing, one can do nothing, understand nothing without the divine. That even if one is exceptionally intelligent and capable, this is nothing in comparison with the divine consciousness. And this sense must always keep, because then one always has the true attitude of receptivity, the humble receptivity that does not put personal pretensions in opposition to the divine. Yeah, so there was no full stop. I couldn't stop in between to reflect. Yet it is, while reading it, I was reminded of, and I think Captain can maybe tell us better. Captain, would you like to share with us, that incidents when Ramakrishna had that dialogue session with one of those scholars? And as the scholar was saying, Ramakrishna just was so happy that, wow, Ma Kali, like he's such a good speaker. Captain, would you know what I'm talking about?
Uh, I know one guru came to teach in Vedanta, and so that Guruji is telling that, okay, this Ramakrishna says that let me take permission from my mother. So that Guruji thought that maybe the worldly mother who has given birth, but actually he went to the idol that is goddess Kali, and he obtained the permission, and then he came back. So that Guruji was keeping in mind that it was his mother only, but subsequently, which has taken few months for others to learn this, and he learned it in few days or few sittings itself. The Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has learned, because that was the divine consciousness or something. So he has learned and all. Then he came back, and Guruji was astonished, surprised, and then he says that Ramakrishna says that it was possible because I have the mother's blessings and that awareness, so that is why I have learned. So, so then, where is your mother actually? He asked, Guruji asked. Then he took him to the temple and this thing and all. So, but he was not believing in an idol or something and all. He says, no, this is not correct or something and all. So that mother came to know that he is not trying to believe that God is there, or the consciousness is there. So then he was going back, and there something happened. Then he wanted to commit suicide in the Ganges, and so Guruji was going back, but the when he is walking into the water, it should be waist deep. It means it should be the deep enough to kill him or something, to commit suicide. It was always knee deep only. He is just walking on the over the Ganges and just only the knee deep. He could not commit suicide. He came back. So then Ramakrishna says, these are all happening because of the mother, that awareness. So this story I read in this thing by Ramakrishna has narrated this. The mother is all knowing actually. This consciousness, it is all knowing. We are actually totally powerless, and so that the receptivity thing again, it has appeared as the attitude of receptivity. So we have to be, our mind has to be, we have to create the vacancy within us to receive something. If there is no vacancy, then we cannot receive anything, because if I'm already full, overfilled, and so nothing will come to us. So that was the story which I remember, but other story which you are listening, I don't.
The captain, there was this story, I don't know, there was a very famous scholar during those times who was an atheist. And he had basically challenged Ramakrishna that Kali doesn't exist. They were supposed to have a very big, back and forth. I don't know what they used to call it. That Ramakrishna would talk about, like why he believes God exists, and the other scholar would give him tark with tark on why he doesn't believe in God. And so, when he came, so that scholar was like, full of kind of, he's my competitor and I have to show him. And he was very well known internationally during that time. It was a huge thing. So as soon as he came, firstly, Ramakrishna hugged him, that he too is Kali's child. So he was very surprised because, he had given, say, he has had dialogues and these things in different parts of the world, and nobody has ever kind of hugged a competitor like that with so much love. And then he just started that this is the reason, that is the reason why God doesn't exist. And Ramakrishna, instead of getting surprised or shocked or hurt, he just started jumping with joy that wow, what you said is beautiful, and say more. And that guy got really surprised that ये हो क्या रहा है, that यहाँ पे मैं आया हूँ to prove something else and I'm saying something which is opposite to the being of Ramakrishna. And how can he be happy? But he kept on getting happier and happier that wow, Mother Kali, like your child, what intelligence you have given him, what capability of, a dialogue you have given him. So, in the end, Ramakrishna basically said nothing, and the other scholar had said like so much on why he doesn't believe in God. But in the end, they say the scholar was in Ramakrishna's feet that what you have, I don't. And what Ramakrishna basically was saying that, if not for the consciousness of the Kali, how would you have the ability to say the things that you're able to say, which are amazing? So I think that again is really profound. I'll share that. I don't know how I can forget the name of that scholar, but that's not important. But it's not that, your whole being, your very being, that if it believes in something, even without saying a word, just the joy that, yes, wow, you're sharing it so beautifully, converted that person who was, so full of ego that I know and nobody else does.
So probably if you recollect sometimes later, so probably you can tell me the name.
Definitely. Yeah, I will.
But
It's very strange. It's not coming to.
I remember when Swami Vivekananda went first time at Chicago address. So at that time, so he was there initially for a few years. So he was invited to a debate whether there is God. So the debate, that was the this thing, question for. There are two teams, and one lady spoke so well the God is not there. So she spoke so well that everybody there present in that August gathering, that they believed that there is no God. And then Vivekananda was one of the judge. There are jury, one of the jury of this, decide who has been first. So that lady was declared first, who was speaking against the motion actually. And then when Vivekananda gave away the prizes, and she says, "My God, you have spoken so well, and with the logic and things like that." Then she says that, "Thank God, I remember everything." So thank God came. So what has happened is that by God's grace only she could remember everything, and logic and all this other logic can be cut short, and that is to be accepted and all this. So that is also the divine power, the divine power. So this story I remember. This has happened in Chicago, and it is recorded actually, well recorded. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there was another one. There was one doctor. He was after doing MBBS in India. He went abroad in UK and he did this thing. He was taking care of him, and he was the maximum paid actually at the time itself. That some 1 annas or 2 annas was the fees of the doctor, but his was some 32 rupees those days. The fees, highest fees in Calcutta doctors. And so that's Mahendralal Gupta, means not Mahendralal Gupta. So this doctor, some Sarkar. So he was, first day, he says that I heard that Ramakrishna, he was having cancer, the throat cancer. So I was told that he is not having any money or anything. So will somebody pay for my visit? So then the disciple says, yes, yes, we'll make the payment. So they made the payment of 32 rupees initially when he came first time. So he kept it in the pocket. Then, Ramakrishna invited him again to visit him again. Please come again. So he used to tell to everybody actually who used to visit. So then he found some attraction because he was non-believer of God or anything of the superpower or anything of this nature. So people are saying that Ramakrishna is an avatar at all. He never believed. He never believed, and he has come. He used to argue many times. He has come and he has argued and all. But slowly he realized that those days there was no medicine for cancer, and without any treatment, proper treatment and all, and there is so much of pain. He is not in a position to swallow anything, no food or nothing of that sort. But still, uh, he's singing and he's talking normally. He's not complaining that I have got throat pain and all. So he was surprised that how can this be possible? Because as a doctor, he knows that nothing can be more painful than the throat cancer, where you are not in a position to talk, but he's singing and he's laughing, he's talking and all. So that attracted him. So then he used to come every day and he started sitting. He says, why are you coming? You've got a good business and all this. You have to go and see the patients because there were so much of requirement for the doctors. So, you cannot just call him immediately and he will not come to see the patient or something. So then he says that I come here because I wanted to come here because something is pulling me, and also that's why I came. Because he asked that why are you wasting your time? That Ramakrishna asked, and whatever he used to say, that argument against God and all. So he used to clear pleasantly. He used to listen, and there was nothing. There's no objection now. And slowly he realized at the end when there was something took place. One question came up, and the Ramakrishna answered. So that was that Agyan, Gan, and Digyan. So what is Agyan means? We don't have any knowledge about that. The Ramakrishna says that is Agyan means I don't know at all. I never heard this word itself or since. And Gyan is Ramakrishna is explaining that Gyan is something where I have heard or read or somebody has told or something of that nature. So that and third one is Begyan. Begyan means now you have realized, and you have. So he gave an examples like you are told how to cook rice. So you need one container and one water and rice and put the fire and all. And when it is boiled, and check up and you can put it off. So the rice is cooked. If you do it yourself practically and you have seen that rice has been cooked, so that is Begyan. Means you have to do it yourself. Don't just listen and you say that yes, I have realized God or something or something. So that he explained. So then he asked that he has not gone to the school and he has not learned anything. The Ramakrishna Paramahansa, how is he telling all these big theories, scientific theory, which he has gone abroad and learned something? So then he was astonished actually. He says that he cannot be a normal human being. Like he used to judge actually. He used to come and see that how the things are happening and how nicely he's singing. That that people wanted requesting that one more or something and all. So so that was one thing that those who are having the Western education also at the time, and they could realize that this person is illiterate supposed to be, and still he knows so many things. So that was one thing which his name is Mahendralal Sarkar was the name of the doctor.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'll just read the last para again and then we'll end today's session. It says that true humility is humility before the divine. That is a precise, exact, living sense that one is nothing, one can do nothing, understand nothing without the divine. That even if one is exceptionally intelligent and capable, that is nothing in comparison with the divine consciousness. And this sense one must always keep, because then one always has the true attitude of receptivity, a humble receptivity that does not put personal pretensions in oppositions to the divine. So, like in the examples that we were sharing, that knowing that even the intelligence is coming through that divine consciousness. That if I'm able to have that debate and win, the debate that, say God doesn't exist, I end with a thank God I could remember. So, yes. So we'll end the session here. And just before we go, just thanking Grace for the opportunity of this company that, through with whom we can read these beautiful, enlightening words that have the capacity to change the quality of our life and to help us see more, be more, and live a lighter, simpler life. So, my immense gratitude and a prayer that may all beings be well and happy and accomplish the mission for which we are on earth. Thank you.
Thank you.